Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from RicoScores. I just got done recording another video that's gonna come out a little later, but I had to stop everything I was doing because anytime the Washington Commanders sign somebody, especially an outside free agent, we got to stop everything we're doing and break that down. Of course, I also had to go and look at what little bit of tape I could find on this guy. It's not a lot of tape out there, but I still went and watched a little bit of him with my own eyes so I could have some sort of an opinion. But after the film, the very little bit of film though, I'm gonna admit, I'm gonna keep it a thou with y'all. After the very little film that I was able to watch, we're gonna dive into the Washington Commanders signing ex-Steelers cornerback James Pierre Jr. He's a tackling machine. Is there any untapped potential here, or is this just a special teams camp body type of signing? We're going to take a look at his Pro Football Focus grades, and of course, with any signing that we make, of course, the second half or at the end of the video, we're always going to talk about should we still address this position in the draft. Does signing the guy that we're talking about in this video stop us from potentially drafting a guy at that position high in the draft? And we're going to also take a look at some prospects at that position group in the draft and see where they may be available in the upcoming draft as well, like which corners may be available second round, which cornerbacks may be available third round, things like that. But before we dive into everything, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button. Let's get to it, man. Y'all stay tuned for everything. I'm keeping y'all updated on so many things. And again, I was just working on a really fun video, a big Washington Commanders rumors video type of thing with a lot of different topics in it, and then this happened, so that's getting delayed a little bit. I still haven't even gotten a chance to edit that one. This is taking priority, so be on the lookout for that. Mock drafts, all kinds of things, a cap space update, all of that. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get to this video right here. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so I first saw this reported by Jayden Anderson on Twitter, of course, because that's where all of these things happen. She said, I'm told the Commanders are signing cornerback James Pierre Jr. at Toonlight 1 per agents Tony Scott and Adi Von Guntard, I believe that's how you pronounce that name, at YMAPAA Sports. So that's like their sporting agency and everything like that. But yes, we're signing a former Steeler cornerback, James Pierre Jr. And we already have William Gay, a former Steeler cornerback, as our assistant DB's coach, but there's no real connection there between these two guys. They were never with the Steelers at the same time at any point, so we're not going to count that connection, but we do have some other connections later. And this is a one-year deal for Pierre, as expected. Again, like I've said in a previous video, if you come with any significant risk, it is a one-year prove-it deal for you, guy. If you have a lack of production, or if you're older, even if you have been very productive, you're a very good player, but if you're up there in age, it's a one-year deal for you, buddy. Adam Peters is not playing that. And the longest deal we've seen anybody get, even a guy like Frankie Louvu, who I felt like we should have signed for 5 years, the longest deal anybody has gotten out of this free agency list so far is 3 years. We've signed the most NFL free agents out of any team so far this offseason, and the longest deal we've given to anybody is 3 years. And again, going back to my main point, if you had any significant risk in any way as far as production, you weren't very good where you last were, or if you're coming off of an off year, even if you were really good in 2022, if you weren't so good in 2023, or again, even if you were really good in 2023, if you have a certain age to you, if you like 29, 1 year deal for you, buddy. Adam Peters ain't playing with y'all. He's not being held down and being held liable to having to pay big money to anybody that's not pulling their weight. He's not going to overpay for anybody. So 1 year deal for everybody. He's not playing. And I mean, hey, the market resets itself. He's like, cool. If they're worth bringing back, we'll bring them back. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But that's a later problem, not right now. And he's pretty confident in his staff, his coaching staff, his front office to get that done if that situation presents itself. But again, he's not going to completely commit himself multiple years to a guy that he's unsure about. Again, any significant risk, 1-year deal for you, buddy. And with a name like that, the first thing I thought, I literally assumed he was from Louisiana. But I mean, maybe that's just the Atlanta in me. Typically when I meet people with names like that, they're from Louisiana. But South Florida checks out a lot for sure, like a lot. Like he's from either Pompano or like really close to it. So that boy gotta be Haitian. I know for a physac that boy Haitian, man. I put money on it. He got from Pompano? Come on now, man. I can't wait for his press conference to see if they give him a press conference. They feel like he's worth a press conference. I'm down to see what his accent sounds like, because I'm pretty sure it's extremely Florida. But either way, connections wise, you know Resh Manuel is always on it at ReShManuel on Twitter. Always all of the background facts, random connections, anything like that. And he announced new Commanders DB James Pierre largely plays special teams in Pittsburgh. However, he's connected to Steelers defensive coordinator coach Terrell Austin, who has Lions ties to Martin Mayhew and Lance Newmark. And then Pierre was coached by defensive assistant Al Harris at FAU, who of course was the DB's coach and had ties to Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. for the Dallas Cowboys last year. So that's about it, though. That's as far as Resh Manuel could dig. And like he always says, he could dig probably even deeper than that. But those are the only significant connections. And again, none of those connections are very significant at all. This isn't like we made a signing where the guy that we just signed was coached by somebody in this coaching staff one way or another. We don't have anybody on this coaching staff that has coached him before. But again, William Gay did play for the Steelers once upon a time, but they weren't ever there together. Maybe he put in a good word for him. You never know. Or maybe Al Harris spoke highly of him from that time at FAU. Who knows, man? And also, I'm going to keep it a hundred with y'all, man. Always going to keep it funky with y'all. I had no idea who this was until I heard that we signed him. And then I went and did some research and watched a little bit of film on Buddy. Did a little bit of film study on Buddy, but that's it. I'm gonna always keep it a thou with y'all, man. I was literally like the Keke Palmer meme with this one, man. Everybody else we've signed, I've at least been like somewhat familiar with them. Like I've heard their name before. I could at least remember one highlight or something like that, or I've just at least looking at free agents that we could potentially be targeting. I may have come across their name. This is the first guy that's literally come from absolutely nowhere from my point of view. Again, I'm gonna keep it a hundred with y'all, but I do want to emphasize that does not automatically mean that he's not a good player. Let me say that again. That does not automatically mean that he is not a good player. I don't feel like we need to jump to that conclusion immediately, but he primarily was a reserve special teams contributor. He's a 4-year vet, and he did make the Steelers team as a 2020 undrafted free agent. So the fact that he's even been on their team for the last 4 years is impressive based on the fact that he wasn't even drafted. But how good has he been? Now, he's appeared in at least 16 games over each of the last 4 seasons. That's significant. Durable. There's durability at the very least. That's a check mark. In 2023, Pierre had 8 total tackles in 16 appearances. He was on the field for 60% of Pittsburgh's special team snaps and only 2% of defensive snaps. So that's not a strong contributor in either way. And overall, Pierre has registered 94 total tackles, 8 passes defense, 3 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery in 66 games with 6 starts. So he has 6 starts under his belt, but not very significant starts. So is he only special teams, or does he bring anything to his actual position group, the cornerback room? Does he have any cornerback in him? Well, if you're taking a look at Pro Football Focus, let's just look at overall grades. His rookie season as an undrafted free agent, he was graded a 75.7 overall grade after only playing 30 snaps, though. So that's not very significant. He was very limited in how much he played. Again, coming out as an undrafted free agent, you're not surprised. But in that little bit of time, he got a really good grade from Pro Football Focus. Pro Football Focus felt like he was worthy of more snaps, and that's just what the Steelers did. In 2021, he played the most snaps in an NFL game in his career at corner with 415. But then he ended up with a grade of 58.1, not good. So then his snaps got almost cut in half going into 2022 with 260. And then he had a 69.9 overall grade, which is not bad at all. And a coverage grade of a 67.7, that's pretty decent. And then in 2022, 2023, I don't know what happened, but they only gave him 26 snaps on defense, which is the lowest so far in his NFL career, and he had a 39.7 defense grade. I don't know what happened in 2023 for him to just completely fall off a cliff, according to Pro Football Focus, but it must be the reason why the Steelers didn't even try to re-sign him, because this is the type of guy that's so cheap, he's probably getting paid as close to a veteran minimum as possible. Maybe not exactly that, but very little money. If the Steelers wanted him, they would have kept him. Easily could have just re-signed him even before the legal tampering period started. So they clearly had no interest in him, and it's probably because of whatever they saw, whatever happened in 2023. Again, I watched a little bit on him. At the very least, one thing I know about him, he's a great tackler now. Like, that one thing about Buddy, he gon' tackle. I mean, if you look at his Pro Football Focus grades, actually, throughout his entire career so far, 2020 through 2023, his tackling grade is always the highest grade that he has. Except for his rookie season, he had a higher coverage grade than his tackling grade. But no matter what, his tackling grade has been green the entire time. At the very worst, his rookie season, he had a 72.8 tackling grade. Everything else was better than that the whole way through. 2021, 77.2. 2022, the year that he played the second most snaps, he had a 78.8. And then 2023, he had a 75.7 in the very limited amount of time that he played snaps. And coverage grade wise, rookie season 76.5. Okay, he deserves more snaps. Then he got more snaps, and then he had a 58.4 coverage grade. So then they're like, all right, let's cut that in half. And then he ended up with a 67.7 coverage grade. Not bad on 260 snaps. And then 2023, this most recent season, 37.3. I mean, just absolutely abysmal grade right there. So I don't know. It's hard to judge. When it comes to run defense, though, his worst grade by far was the 60.9 that he had in 2023. So we'll see. As far as coverage goes, not very trustworthy. But at the same time, he's only 27 years old. So maybe there's some untapped potential here that we could try to develop out of him. But I'm not going to lie to y'all. This does just simply look like a special team signing. Again, I'm going to keep it 100 with y'all, especially with the fact that the only thing that he's consistent with is tackling. Like, as a corner, if your best trait is tackling, it sounds like you're a special teams guy. It literally sounds like the David Mayo of corners. But I'm hoping that somehow Dan Quinn, Joe Wood Jr., and Jason Simmons, with their elite proven track record of developing defensive backs, can get something out of him that the Steelers just never could. Maybe try to dive into what he was doing, watch his tape in 2022 and 2020 to see what he was doing in those limited snaps, to why he was better in coverage those years than the other ones. Also, just like my boy Michael Davis, he apparently is better in even number years. So like 2020, 2022, pretty good, actually. Even though limited, pretty good. 2021 and 2023 were his worst seasons by far, so maybe he's terrible in odd number years, maybe he's good in even number years, and most importantly in our case, 2024 is an even number year, so maybe he's about to bounce back and ball out. You never know. Same thing as Michael Davis, we'll see. But I do want to point out the fact that because coverage and cornerback wise, since he's not that good, he's definitely below recently signed free agent corners Noah Igbenogany and Michael Davis on the depth chart immediately. Of course, he's obviously below Benjamin St-Juste and Emmanuel Forbes as well. Out of really our entire cornerback roster right now, if you're looking at the depth chart, he's probably last. Even behind like a Kiyu Blue Kelly or Tariq Castro Fields or anybody like that. He may even be behind Nick Whiteside and Christian Holmes. Like, I would not be surprised. Maybe even D'Angelo Mandel, whoever that is. I wasn't even aware that that guy was on our roster until I looked at the depth chart. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I do not know who that is either. But I also see Steelers fans on Twitter like basically happy that he's leaving. And that always scares me when another team that we signed a guy from is happy to lose him. I'm not going to lie. But again, I'm not just going to immediately take their word for it. I'm going to do my own research. Also, I want to point out the fact that, again, if there's any coaching staff that is out there that can get him to play better, it's this one. But you also have a Steelers analyst who did a pretty good breakdown on him from his point of view as a Steelers analyst from the years that Pierre has been with the Steelers. He said Pierre primarily served as a gunner and a special teamer throughout his Steelers career. So we keep bringing in special teams aces and gunners. So maybe that's the main reason we're bringing him here. Though physically talented, and he does have some potential to him. He does have a little bit of wiggle to him, some natural talent there that maybe we could dive into. His inconsistent play as a cornerback held back his potential as a rotational piece in Pittsburgh's defense. In our 2023 training camp recap, we outlined some of those issues. Quote, Pierre's highs are high, but his lows are low. His technique is frustrating. Coaches were always getting on him for not having his hands up and press, not punching effectively, and his play at the catch point was all over the place. At this point, he is who he is, a number 4 corner at best and a special teamer. At some point, the team will look for an upgrade, and had rookie Corey Trice Jr. stayed healthy, he may have pushed Pierre off the roster. Pierre could stick on the roster, but 2023, if he makes it the whole way through, seems like his last year, unquote. So even this Steelers analyst already knew before the 2023 season even started that Pierre was probably going to more than likely end up going elsewhere in 2024. So that's why he's landed with us. And then the Steelers analyst goes on to say, undrafted in 2020, Jason Pierre appeared in 66 games with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Over that time, he recorded 94 tackles with 8 pass breakups. He recorded 2 career interceptions, including a game-sealing pick to beat the Denver Broncos in Week 5 of the 2021 season. So that's definitely the highlight of his career. And in 2023, he logged only 8 tackles, playing just 26 defensive snaps. Although Patrick Peterson switched to safety late in the season, the Steelers corners largely stayed healthy, with rookie Joey Porter Jr. emerging and Levi Wallace serving as the team's top sub package corner. And remember, speaking of Joey Porter Jr., they drafted him with the first pick of the 2nd round just last year, just the 2023 draft that passed. So that tells you how the Steelers felt about him. They felt like they needed corners so bad that they would take one with the first pick in the 2nd round out of the entire NFL. So maybe he is just depth. Maybe he's just a special teams guy, or maybe he's even less than that, just a camp body. We'll see, but I do want to put it out there that I am rooting for Buddy. But that's now 3 cornerback signings in a row. Does that stop you from taking corner with one of those 6 top 100 picks that we have in the 2024 draft, which is like slightly over a month away right now? We have 1 first rounder that will presumably be used on franchise quarterback. Then we also have 2 seconds and 3 thirds. It's literally 1-1, 2 2s, and 3 3s. But you also never know if we take like 2 of those 6 picks and then use them to trade up back into the first round to get a starting left tackle after we get the starting quarterback. But even if we don't, I'm expecting tackle to be the pick immediately after we take quarterback, no matter where we end up picking after the 2nd overall pick where we take quarterback. Whether we stay at 36 or we move up, I'm assuming the next pick immediately after we take quarterback is tackle. And with us also looking for like another tight end, some receivers, another edge rusher, cornerbacks, I mean, when will we actually want to attack that? So if you're taking a look at some of the top cornerbacks in this draft, let's say maybe 2nd round wise, you have my dog Kamari Lassiter. Maybe he'll be there. Not even necessarily with our 36th pick. He may even be there with our 40th overall pick in the 2nd round. And y'all know me, man. I'm going to talk about Kamari Lassiter. I'm going to hype him up because to me, he's the best corner Georgia has had easily since Kirby Smart's been here. Easily. Cover corner, just pure lockup, take a receiver out the play. I'm still shocked that people don't like Kamari Lassiter more than this. I'm very shocked that people don't look at him as a first rounder, but maybe I'm tripping. Then you also have Ennis Rackshaw Jr. from Missouri. You have him. He may make it to like the 2nd round. DJ James may make it to the 2nd round, maybe even the 3rd. From Auburn, you have TJ Tampa. I know a lot of people really like him. He may make it to the 2nd round as well. You have Max Melton from Rutgers, I believe. I think he can make it potentially to like our 3rd round pick, maybe like the first one that we have 67th, maybe the 2nd one 78th. Then you have the Mike kid from Michigan. You have the Chris kid from Missouri as well. Like, we have some options there, potentially like 2nd and especially 3rd round wise. You have Kyrie Jackson from Oregon, maybe Cam Hart from Notre Dame. Both of those guys should be available somewhere in the 3rd round. Again, we have 3 3rd round picks. You never know. Andrew Phillips from Kentucky, maybe. I mean, you have some guys out there. I'm just throwing some names out there. Kalen King may even be available with one of our 3rd round picks. I think you may have to take him from Penn State with our first third round pick if you really want him, but you never know. Maybe he's still there, even 78th overall with our second one. There's a lot of options out there for corner, man. We could definitely address corner. There's a lot of talented guys, a pretty deep class. No position group is as deep as receiver, so we could probably go receiver even later. Maybe we wait till like the later third or early fourth to maybe go receiver, or maybe that just because the receivers are so good, you just take one and you don't look back. You don't even worry about positional value. You don't worry about the fact that there's so many of them. You can wait till later, just take a guy. But either way, cornerback, I could see us using one of those 6 top 100 picks. Of course, not one of the first 2, because again, quarterback and tackle. But after that, I see us using one of those picks potentially on a corner, because again, Noah Igbenogany, pretty decent. Michael Davis could end up actually being a really good corner, has looked like a really good cornerback one at times. And I just feel like more so last year was a down year because the Chargers was just a complete meltdown, like just a completely dysfunctional organization. Their head coach was terrible. Their defensive scheme wasn't good. So I feel like he can come back here and bounce back. But then this guy, as in James Pierre, I like him, but he's more of a special teams guy. So you still, if you feel like you need a corner before free agency, you still need corner going into the draft is my main point. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Let me know in the comment section how you feel about James Pierre Jr. Do you think he's has some potential at corner for us as like a depth guy, maybe not a starter, but a guy that's in the rotation? Do you feel like he's just purely a special teams guy, or are you so low on him that you think he's just purely a camp body to fill out the 90-man roster and he doesn't have much of a shot of making the actual 53-man roster? Let me know all of that, and again, I'm gonna keep y'all updated on everything going on. I really appreciate all the support. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.